Hey, what's up, and welcome in to Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment to everything that we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood as we presented by the fine folks over at, yes, Alexander James Whiskey. Go to alexanderjameswhiskey.com. You think about this. We're talking about March Madness. The Major League Baseball season is starting this week. The draft is about a month away. So throughout all of that, you know what you need? You need to have a little something. Alexander James Whiskey. For those that love their whiskey, I want you to consider Alexander James Whiskey. Go to the website, alexanderjameswhiskey.com. It is the whiskey of choice for the Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood podcast. So make sure that you go to the website, find out whether or not Alexander James Whiskey is in your area. If not, make sure you leave a message. But it's in 49 states. So Alexander James Whiskey, the whiskey of choice for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Make sure that you take care of them. They take care of us. So we want you to take care of them. They love Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, and we love Alexander James Whiskey. How about this March Madness? This is very interesting that's going on in the tournament. One of the things that's not happening in the tournament is a Cinderella story. We had one story of High Point being able to get to the next level, and the rest has been a lot of favorites. There's been some buzzer beaters and exciting moments, but what happened to the Cinderella when it comes to the NCAA tournament in this era of the portal? We're going to talk to Mr. Illinois. We're going to talk to the color analyst for the Fighting Illini, Deon Thomas. That guy is one of the best players to ever play in the state of Illinois. Guy knows his basketball backwards and forwards. We'll get his thoughts about the Big Ten, where the Illini is. The Illini is going to be matched up against Houston. That's going to be very interesting and compelling. So we'll talk to Deon Thomas, our special guest, as we talk March Madness. We're down to the Sweet 16 on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment to everything we do on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for checking out the podcast. It is always, as promised, we turn to Mr. Illinois from the Illini Sports Network. Does color for the Fighting Illini. That's in the Sweet 16. It is the great Deon Thomas with us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Coach, as always, I appreciate the time.
Jay, it's always a pleasure coming on with you, man. I enjoy your show. I enjoy what you're doing. And as we were just sharing, before we start recording, I enjoy sharing real life conversations with you as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that check's in the mail, by the way. That real life, you're looking for that. I got that money for you. Don't worry, Coach. It's coming.
I need a little bit, so I'm open.
Don't worry, Coach. That money's coming. I do want to ask you about a number of things. First of all, just love watching the Illini pummel their opponents here in the NCAA tournament offensively.
Yes.
Watching what they did against VCU, I just want to get your take on how the Illini was able to get this done against VCU in the last game.
Well, they played defense. I mean, this VCU team is a team that was averaging 80-plus points a game, and Illinois held them to under 60. I mean, anytime this team is able to defend with physicality, defend the point of the basketball to be able to keep guys out of the paint, then they have a really good chance of winning the basketball game. If they can force teams into tough twos, they're almost always going to score enough points to win. It's just a matter of if they're going to be able to stop guys. And I think that was a huge portion of why they were able to take down and take out VCU. Everyone else will look at the points. They'll look at, some of the things that the big dunks that took place and how Stojakovic and other guys stepped up when Merkovich had, kind of an off game, but other guys were able to stand up. But it was really, in my heart of hearts, and you talking about this is an offensive-minded guy I was.
Yes.
Giving them kudos for the physicality and the defense that they played against VCU.
Very few defensive lapses, very few things you could poke holes in when you talk about the defense. If I'm your assistant and I'm handing you the box score and you see that the Illini, the free throw discrepancy is amazing, but I think that you look at single-digit foul shots for VCU. That means that you're on point defensively.
And that's been one of the things. If you recall when Brad first got to Illinois, teams were in the double bonus within the first 5 minutes. because everything was trying to scramble, trap. There wasn't a lot of diversity to what they were doing on the defense. And Brad, in the post-game interview that Brian and I did with him on the radio, first thing he did was give appreciation and kudos to Cam Crocker, who's the new assistant coach, who was basically brought in to be that defensive-minded coach, that defensive coordinator. And he had a great game plan put together, not just in the game against VCU, but I thought he had an excellent game plan put together against Penn as well. And that those game plans worked, and they were able to really shut down a lot of what VCU did. Of course, Hill Jr., I mean, that kid can just score the lights out of the ball, and he was still able to get to double figures, but nobody else were able to really get off and get going. And even all of his shots were extremely difficult. I mean, if I'm going to shoot a fall away step back over a 6'9" Ben Hummerkaus, and if I recall correctly, I don't think he scored a basket on Kylan Boswell. Mm-hmm. So when you're able to be clicking like that at the point of the basketball, and then you have the other guys that are in their second and third help positions, VCU likes to get out and run and find transition threes. Illinois' transition defense was awesome. And then you talk about the defensive rebounding to not allow VCU to get out and run and do some of the other things they were doing, or offensive rebounds for that matter. I mean, Illinois was spot on in almost every aspect of on the defensive side of the basketball.
Deon Stojakovic was just a catalyst offensively coming off the bench. I mean, it doesn't matter who starts. It matters who's out there on the floor in big moments. And, boy, he was just fantastic and such an igniter for the Illini offensively.
Oh, my God. I'll tell you, I love this young man. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love about him, and I have harped about this throughout the years, I don't want him to take a backseat. I understand everyone on the team has a role, and I get that. But he is so much better when he's the Andre Stojakovic from Cal, where he was the leading scorer, averaged 20+ points a game. He felt like he was that guy. I want him to be like that every night. Don't want him shooting a lot of jump shots. Not that he can't knock down ones, but he's a better shooter when it's off of a kick out or a pass. Yeah, you got all the rights in the world to shoot those. But other than that, get downhill. Use that strength. Use that athleticism. Use that dexterity around the basket where he's finishing with either hand over bigger or smaller opponents. When he's in attack mode, Jay, this team is so hard to beat. And I that's where I want him to be. He's kind of that X factor as we move into this game next week. I mean, this week, Thursday. He's if he plays like this, I mean, I know Vegas got it at 2.5 points, whatever it is. I don't pay much attention to that stuff because I don't gamble on other people.
Right. Right.
But if he's playing like that, I mean, with him like that, Keaton Walker, Kyler Boswell's going to find his points. David Merkovich is going to not just find his points, he's going to create for everyone else on the court. And when you get Tomislav Ivicic, I mean, that's 5 guys that's averaging double figures. That's really hard to overcome.
Coach, before I ask you about the Big Ten, I want to talk to you about just the state of the tournament where we are right now. Some of our listeners on Cap and J Hood are asking the question about Cinderellas and where are they? High Point's the only story out of the NCAA terms, like, oh, they were able to win. And some people even consider that an upset based on if you do some research about how good High Point was. But in this era of the portal where you're paying top dollar to players, where you're trying to build a team and not a program, the quick fix, the microwave, looks like it's not working out too well for some of these teams that are trying to build a team quickly versus being able to build a program, kind of like the Illini and other teams that are in the stratosphere in the 16. What do you say about these Cinderellas and lack thereof in the tournament?
I'm not surprised. One, unless you are, and if I'm not mistaken, High Point's a private institution. If they're going to pour private money into their NIL program or being able to share that kind of money, okay, maybe those kind of someone of that nature can make a splash. But that's not for most mid-majors. Most mid-majors are not going to be able to do that. You know, you and I worked for a long time at UIC. I mean,
Mhm.
you do your thing with UIC. As much as I love UIC, their NIL program and the dollars that they may have to spend on talent is not going to be there. You know, the way it will be at one of the big four conference teams. It's not going to be there. So your chances of, having a Cinderella have been decreased. And
So, Coach, we had a pause in our conversation. You were talking about the difficulty of smaller schools being able to compete. No more Cinderellas as of late, especially in this portal era.
yeah, it's going to be difficult. One of the good things for mid majors is if they can attract talent that's going to be departing from, high major programs. But will they have the money to do so? And a lot of these kids are searching for those dollars and searching for those opportunities. That's why the importance of program building, in my opinion, is even more important. So some of these smaller, as we were talking about UIC, for example, and I think the coaches did a wonderful job this year at UIC, making it to the NIT. And to be honest, I thought they had a chance to make it to the big
Yeah.
dance. I've watched them many times, and I know they have some money, but they don't have the outrageous amounts of money that some of these programs are getting, and some of them have. So program building is essential. At least knowing who you are and what type of players you're looking for, and really looking at it from a professional NBA kind of standpoint where you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together. You're not just trying to bring in and acquire talent, because I think that same thing is necessary for a school like Illinois. I mean, Illinois is not going to pay, millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars that maybe some of these institutions are paying. So you really have to dig into your homework, figure out who the players are, do they fit who you are, and and what your program is going to be about. Brad always says, we're a development program. And I believe that's still the case, even with bringing in transfers from outside like Andre Stojkovic, because you still got your Kylan Boswell there. You still have your Ben Humberkaus. You got your Jake Davis, which are two, in my opinion, of the best glue guys in college basketball. You don't keep guys like that around, then you don't have an opportunity. Illinois doesn't have an opportunity to be where they are on Thursday.
That team, a number of teams that have spent a lot of money, has fallen short. Shout out to Kentucky here in the NCAA tournament.
Exactly.
I heard there somewhere in Lexington said we got a Ferrari. Well, that Ferrari's on blocks with no tires right now, not in the tournament.
Mhm.
Mark Pope's team, they've got to be able to figure out what they're doing there as they've been bounced out of the tournament. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Brad Underwood. I need you to talk to the audience about Brad Underwood. I don't know why we get calls on our morning show about Brad and how some feel like Illinois should be much further along than they have been. And what I would keep saying to the callers that call in, I said, "Do you remember what Illinois was before Underwood got there?
Yeah.
This is no shot at John Gross. Gross is doing fine in Akron. I think that's where he is, I believe, right now. He's doing
Yes.
fine.
Correct.
But I mean, where it was before Brad got there and where it is now, I think it's at a great I think it's a great level right now, and it has even more room to grow. What when you see Brad Underwood, tell us about the growth that you've seen in him and the program.
Well, that's growth is the perfect word to use when we're talking about Brad Underwood. First of all, let me say personally, if there's any Illini fans that have been calling on and things like, I love Brad Underwood. I think Brad Underwood is one of the absolute best coaches in college basketball. I think he's definitely one of the best recruiters in college basketball. And as we say, one of the best closers, because your assistant coaches are normally the ones that go out and do all of the lion's share of the recruiting, but it's up
Mhm.
to the head coach to be able to close the deal. And I think Brad does that extremely well. I think Brad is one of the best motivators in this game. I think he's one of the best teachers in this game because he really gets a lot out of guys. He may ruffle some feathers.
Yeah.
He may have a little harsh language for you, but for me and someone that comes from that era, I think it's more than needed this year. I mean, at this point in time in our lives, I think it's even needed even more. I mean, when these kids step out in the real world, none of their bosses are going to coddle them. You think that if they're lucky enough to make it to the NBA, that their coaches are going to be like, oh, it's okay, let me pat you on the back. No. And even more so now, as we talk about NIL in the previous conversation, this is a business. And I don't think you have a better coach that's better suited for what today is. Now, I would say part of that and is his familiarity with having to change programs and change players because he was at the junior college level. And as a former JUCO coach, your team looks different every year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not used to having your systems in place, knowing who you are as a coach, and getting your players to believe in what you are, and what you believe in as a coach, then you might as well get out of this game because it's not going to work with so many moving parts every single year.
No doubt
Another
about
thing,
that. Yeah.
and another thing. So that's why I think what we have in Brad Underwood is the winningest coach in the last 7 years in the Big Ten. Now, people will say, well, we should have gone further in the NCAA tournament. I don't believe they understand how difficult that is. Winning in the NCAA tournament is extremely hard. You don't have the time to prepare or prep for teams. You get 1 hour of practice in between games. So to win one game is good. To win two, three, or to make it to this will be Illinois' third Sweet 16 in the second Sweet 16 in the last 3 years. I think that's pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of programs, Jay Hood, that would be wanting the exact same thing that we have as Illinois fans.
So I look at my brackets here, and I see all Big Ten success across the board. How
Yes,
about
sir.
that? So the road to Indianapolis comes through Chicago, apparently. This is very interesting what's happened in the Big Ten. So I'm sure that you feel like the Big Ten has been the best conference all season, but it's proven out for sure here in the tournament. It has been fantastic.
Well, I know it's been a while, and the people are hanging their hats on that the Big Ten hasn't won a championship in many years. I think it's like close to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay because there's a lot that goes into winning a championship, seedings and matchups and all of these things that go along with it. But like I know, we're from the Midwest. The Big Ten is a grind. You got 20 Big Ten games throughout the year, and you're beating each other up with some of the best coaches in the country. Better yet, not just in the world, because a lot of these guys could be making money in the NBA or overseas, making a heck of a lot more than what they're making while they're standing on the sideline with Big Ten programs. But you got a bunch of the best coaches in the world, so you're going to beat each other up in the 10. Everyone's going to know what everyone does, and so there's going to always be competition from top to bottom. Even when I was playing, J Hood, yes, we were concerned about the Big Ten, but we were more concerned about what the refereeing was going to be like when you got to the NCAA tournament. Because if you allow teams to play, and this is one thing I can say about this first couple of rounds that Illinois played in South Carolina, I thought the refereeing was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
People might say, oh, well, they didn't call this, they didn't call that. Good, because they didn't call them on either end of the court.
Mm-hmm.
The job of a referee is to maintain control and then get out of the way. Let the players make the plays unless it's something obvious. Let the guys that are on there. Your stripes should be hidden in the background. It's like camouflage. You got a bunch of zebras out there. Shouldn't even see you, shouldn't even hear you. I saw one of the referees when I was in the airport. I don't know which conference he was from. It was one of the first times I had seen him, and I told him, I was like, "You did a great job. I've played him in the NCAA tournament. I've been doing the radio for Illinois for the last 10 years. Love the job that you did because you allowed the players to play." And he was like, "Well, that's who that's what he's the onus or the responsibility is for the players. I'm like, exactly.
That's right.
I just wish more referees would understand that. We're not out there to see you. People on TV don't want to see you. They want to see the players play. And so, going back to the Big Ten, 6-2 right now. You got six of those teams are in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
All of these teams have an opportunity to win the championship. I mean, other than the fact you got Iowa having to face up against Nebraska. So one of them is definitely not going to the Elite Eight. But you have those teams in this conference representing the way I believe they can and should, like you said, all year.
Yeah, so I look forward to this matchup against Houston because I go back to a few years ago. This is not your grandfather's Kofi Coburn Illini team. This is a different ball club from a few years ago, man. Let me just tell you, this is not 17 turnovers, 17 field goals made the last time we saw Houston. This is a much different animal here with the Fighting Illini. So I guess the question is, Coach, is like, how can the Illini turn a 2022 loss against Houston into a March Madness win?
Well, first of all, like you just said, this is a totally different team. Yeah. That team was so Kofi-centric that if you were able to, molest him in any kind of way or keep him out of the game, then you had a chance. This Illinois team, oh, yeah, go ahead. Shut down Keaton Wagler. Because now you got to deal with the other five guys that could give you 20 points in a heartbeat. Concentrate on Andrei Stojakovic, who has just been lights out, for a lot of the season. Yeah, because now you got all the other guys. So there's so many pieces offensively that they're not going to be able to concentrate on one or the other. They're just going to have to try to defend tendencies. For Illinois to win this basketball game, though, Houston has three really good guards. The Fleming kid is really good. Big-time freshman, just like Keaton Wagler. Can really score the basketball, really high upside. Emmanuel Sharp, who I've known since he was born. His dad and I played together in Maccabi Tel Aviv, and we're still friends to this day. And then the Milnos, or whatever the other kid's name. They have three really good guards. They're three leading scorers. But the thing is, if you can control them, make them take tough twos, which is what Illinois' defense is, then they just want to make you take tough shots and then rebound the basketball. So if they rebound the basketball at a high clip, both on the offensive and defensive end, the way they have this year, I mean, they've been one of the top five rebounding teams all year. So if they can do that, they have a great opportunity. And then keep Houston from running. Houston wants to get out and run. So if they can get back a transition defense the way they did against VCU, then they got a great chance of winning this game.
Poor Kelvin Sampson. He's just been a bridesmaid so long, but I know the Illini are not going to step aside for him. I know that's not happening.
He is not beloved in Illini Nation, my friend.
Yes, I understand. I understand. That goes way back. That's deep-seated right there.
Lot of history between this program and Coach Sampson. Even though, let me say this, I like him. I think he's a great guy. Now, I do agree and understand why my people are upset, as they should be.
I understand. And so I look forward to this matchup. And by the way, speaking of Sampson, boy, if you are up in age and you've been coaching a long time, you've got a chance in this tournament. There's so much sage and veteran, Tom Izzo and Rick Pitino. It is interesting to see the elder statesmen get an opportunity. Calipari's still alive in Arkansas. These guys are still with it. It's amazing. These veteran coaches still sticking with it. One, not running away from the sport, but two, got their teams in a great spot.
Well, the one, they have the basketball knowledge. They have the pedigree. The players know and understand that if they listen to these guys, they have a chance to be not just good, they have a chance to be great. Now you take these coaches, and these are all coaches that have really been ahead of their time in some ways in the things that they do. Just think about Calipari was the first one to do the one and dones.
Yeah.
No one was doing that. Brad, to be quite honest, is the first one to take a full dive into bringing over European players. Now, you may see one or two, one on another team, or maybe one here. Brad, five deep
Yes.
with international players. And actually, Brandon Lee, now, granted, he's from Puerto Rico, and so he's an American citizen, but Brandon Lee is from there. He's not from here. Now, he went to high school here, but he has gone full board, between the job that Orlando Antigua does, that Jeff Alexander does, all them recruiting, their recruiting tentacles have stretched worldwide. And Brad has gone fully into that. It fits his system. Talking about one of the things that makes Brad great is his ability to adjust. I mean, first 2 years at Illinois, he was all press and run as he was at Stephen F. Austin. He saw that didn't work in the Big Ten. He switched it up and went big with Kofi when no one else was really going big, maybe other than Purdue. And then he went all the way down. Was like, okay, I'm gonna play five guards, and now he's to this, really positionless basketball with two bigs. I'm gonna throw David Mirkovic in there because he's 6'9", 250, with three bigs that are probably some of the best shooting, not just bigs, but best shooters in the country, from your center and power forward position, but yet they can still play in the post. So why are those coaches still there? Adaptability and knowledge of this game and understanding what it takes to make young men great.
Yeah, Patino's 73, Izzo's 71, Rick Barnes of Texas is 71, Kelvin Sampson 70, Calipari 67. Hanging in there, Coach. They all hanging in there.
Well, so one of those things you can do forever. It's like golf, man, as long as the ticker holds up.
That's true. That's true. You don't want to fall out in the course, man. That's just too much space. You don't want to fall out there.
Exactly. You might get forgotten about.
I got to play through. Leave Bob there, right there in the sand trap. That's where he always wanted to be.
Can't hold up everyone else that's behind us.
Well, that's the truth. Poor Bob there in the sand trap. Pick Bob up. Come on now. He's a good man. He wasn't.
Weekend at Birdies, baby. Pop him right over the top of the cart, man. We just keep it moving.
That's where he wanted to be anyway. Sure.
Exactly.
Coach, I'm glad you spent some time, man. Next time we talk, I want to talk to you about some of these mid-majors crying about not getting scheduled. It's quite a thing. It's quite a cat fight that's been going on during this NCAA tournament. My question to some of these coaches, like the Miami, Ohio coach, is, if I'm a power four, how can I schedule you? Because I don't know if you're good until you play.
Exactly.
I think Peter said it right. He goes, how did I know that like these, some of these mid-majors are going to be good until you play? I'm not going to schedule a tin can if I can help it. But if I know that you're good, say you're Campy at Oakland, right? If you're Greg Campy at Oakland Golden Grizzlies, they always play at a high level. It's a coach that's been around since the Reagan administration. All right. They're always going to be competitive. I'll play you, Campy. Sure. You know what? 2 for 1. I'll come to your place once, but you got to come to my place twice. But at least I'm playing you, right? Some of these coaches crying about how they're not, no one wants to play them. I don't even know that you're good.
I mean, because we got to take a look back at it. And I love Matt Painter's response to that. And he's 100% right. But what these mid-major coaches need to understand, the net ratings are so important. And if your team is hanging down at the bottom of the net, then why would I pay you? It does not behoove me or my program to play you. And let's just be quite honest. Now I'm gonna play you, and I find out you are good, and I lose to you, and you're a quad 4 program. That just doesn't help. So not scheduling you because I'm afraid of you, like you said. I'm not scheduling you because I don't know who you are. We play mid-majors. Illinois played 4 or 5 this year, but other than Eastern Illinois, the mid-majors that are going to be decent and they're going to be good. But I understand the scheduling of Eastern Illinois. This is a state school. This is one that's right down the road. And I am a firm believer in that we should schedule more state schools. I'd love to see Illinois play UIC again. That was a great home and away. I loved it. And why wouldn't I bring attention and help out? And this is just my opinion. I can't
Yeah.
speak for Brad. I can't speak for Joy, but I would love to see that because now I'm bringing more attention to my state institutions. But Bradley's good. Illinois State is normally pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
Southern in the past, Southern Carbondale in the past has been pretty doggone good. UIC was really good this year. They just missed out on it. So you gotta. I understand what that coach is saying because he wants his shot, and he understands his shot is by beating a big time school. And now I'm really because who's watching High Point unless you go to High Point?
Right. That's
Nobody.
exactly right. Yeah.
And he wants his opportunities, not just for himself. He may want his opportunity for his guys, for his kids. I get it, but I also agree 100% with what Matt Painter said. Until I know you are who you are, then how do I know who you are?
Yeah.
And in this game, I only know it when I see you play.
Well, having said that, I'll let you go so you can put that email out to the University of Illinois so you can play UIC again. And by the way, 2-for-1, you come to us. So you yes, you put that
I see him
email
on the
out.
plane. I see him in the hotel. I'd rather speak that with Jay Hood. I'm not putting that in writing. I like my job, man.
Hey, tell people out in Champaign, don't be scared. We're just little UIC. We're just barely making it. We're just barely making it. It'd just be a pleasure just for you to just to get a hem of your garment, just to touch a hem of your garment for the Illini, just to get a taste. Oh boy, we can learn so much for that game, Deon. If we could just get a game, we would learn. Our kids would learn so much. We'll come to Champaign. United Center, too big. Let's come to Champaign. Let's do that.
Understood.
Come on.
I'll pass that along, big guy.
Come on through, man. We're just poor little UIC, barely keeping the lights on. We would just love to just have a game, just one time. Don't be scared. Come on, play us.
One time after a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Matter of fact, I think it's been the last time was when UIC beat Howard, right? Beat UIC when UIC beat who was it? Who was coaching at that time? John Gross?
Yes. Howard beat John Gross.
I don't think it was since then.
I'm gonna say this. I shouldn't say that, but God bless
Let
Howard.
you go, Jay. Yes.
Howard called me and said, it was a good win, wasn't it, Hoodie? I was like, yeah, it was a great win, Coach. He goes, Northwestern, what do you think? I said, what about him? He goes, I don't know, man. Things are going well for us here. I said, yeah. I said, if you want to play Northwestern, go. He goes, no, you know what I mean. I was like, no, I don't know what you mean. I said, but I tell you what. I said, I hope you do beat Northwestern or play Northwestern. And guess what? We beat Northwestern at Northwestern. It happens. So you just never know, man.
You never know. That's why you play the ball. That's why they toss it up, Jay Hood.
Yeah.
That's why they toss it up. Got to play the game.
Always a pleasure, Coach, and good luck the rest of the way. This has been so much fun. See the Illini and the other Big Ten teams in the mix. It's going to be fun throughout the rest of this tournament.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm itching to get down there, man, because I think we got a shot. That's all you want.
Think so too.
I
think so too.
I appreciate you, Jay. Always enjoy my time with you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Always great to talk to the great Deon Thomas with us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, as we cannot wait for Thursday and then the rest of the weekend to talk about the NCAA tournament. But yeah, just based on our conversation, we're talking about the lack of Cinderellas that are in the NCAA tournament, lack of stories of, underdogs that are in this mix. And ultimately, what it comes down to is the best of the best. And we're seeing it right now with this Sweet 16. How are your brackets doing? Leave a comment below, as always, about your thoughts about the NCAA tournament. But boy, it's the Illini story is very compelling because they take on Houston. And I thought that Houston would get to the Final Four. I thought they'd get to the championship game and lose against Arizona. My Final Four was Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Houston. And I wasn't sure if the Illini can get past Houston, but the Illini, the way they shoot the basketball, and they have a chance to overwhelm the Houston Cougars. So we'll see. Always, thanks so much for checking us out. And we are brought to you by the fine folks over at Alexander James Whiskey. Make sure you go to alexanderjameswhiskey.com. They support us. We want you to support them. Jesse Stewart, the overseer and CEO of Alexander James Whiskey, appreciates your patronage. Hey, during this time of the NCAA tournament and the Major League Baseball season starting, man, it's a great time to just have a little something. If you're a whiskey drinker, just consider Alexander James Whiskey. Right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for checking us out. So long, everybody. Alexander James Whiskey. You know what? I'll have a pour right now, as a matter of fact. Let me get something. Where's my little glass?